Chapter 1. A Gentle Invitation. Come, dear listener, and let the weight of the day slip away, like soft mist dissolving in the warmth of a rising sun. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel your body sink into a place of quiet calm where the world grows still, its edges softening like the glow of a lantern in the dusk. Tonight, we embark on a dreamy journey, a tale woven from the threads of time and trust, centered on a simple piece of paper, $1 that once changed the world. Imagine yourself cradled in a bed of clouds, drifting gently across a starlit sky, each breath carrying you further into a realm where worries fade, where every moment unfolds slowly, like petals opening to a moonlit night. Picture a serene evening, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of pine and distant rivers, the stars above twinkling softly, as if whispering secrets to the earth below. The world is hushed, save for the faint rustle of leaves and the gentle hum of a breeze that carries the promise of rest. We are stepping into a story that begins long ago, in a time when a single piece of paper held the weight of dreams, of trust, of a new way of seeing wealth. This is not a tale of haste or grandeur, but a soothing journey through the quiet moments that shaped a currency, a nation, and the hearts of those who held it. Feel your shoulders soften, your thoughts drift, as you sink deeper into this tranquil space. The village we will visit is one of cobblestone streets and flickering lanterns, where the air is alive with the scent of freshly baked bread and the distant song of a river. Here, time moves slowly, like honey pouring from a jar, each moment a treasure to be savored. The story of the first $1 is a reminder that wealth is not just in coins or paper, but in the trust we place in each other and the quiet connections that bind us across time. As we begin, let your eyelids grow heavy, your breath slow, and allow this tale to wrap you in its gentle embrace, guiding you toward the peaceful shores of sleep. Chapter 2. The Birth of a Currency. The evening settled over a small colonial town in 18th century America. Its wooden houses nestled along a quiet river, their windows glowing faintly with the warm light of candles. The air was crisp, scented with the earthy tang of fallen leaves and the faint smoke of hearths where families gathered to share simple meals. Cobblestone paths wound through the town, their surfaces worn smooth by the steady tread of boots and cartwheels, each stone a silent witness to the dreams of a young nation. The sky above was a deep indigo, sprinkled with stars that twinkled softly, as if guarding secrets of a world on the cusp of change. In this tranquil setting, the idea of a new kind of money, a paper $1, was born, a fragile notion that would grow to carry the weight of trust and time. It was a time when gold and silver coins clinked in pockets, their heft a familiar comfort, their value as certain as the sunrise. Yet these coins were scarce, their journeys across oceans slow and uncertain, leaving towns like this one to barter with grain, cloth, or promises scratched on scraps of parchment. The townsfolk gathered in the evenings under the soft glow of lanterns, hung from cavern beams, their voices low and thoughtful as they spoke of a new way, a currency not of metal, but of paper, a shared agreement that a simple note could hold the worth of gold. The idea was strange, almost dreamlike, yet it shimmered with possibility, like the river's surface catching the starlight. In a modest meeting hall, its walls lined with weathered wood, a group of men sat around a long table, their faces lit by the flickering light of a single candelabra. The air smelled of wax and ink, and the faint creak of chairs blended with the rustle of papers as they discussed this bold notion. One man, a printer named Samuel, leaned forward, his hands steady, but his eyes bright with quiet excitement. He spoke of a paper note, small enough to carry in a pocket, yet strong enough to hold a nation's trust. "It's not the paper itself," he said, his voice as gentle as the evening breeze, "but the promise it carries, a promise we make to one another." His words hung in the air, soft and deliberate, like leaves falling slowly to the ground. Outside, the town slept, its rhythm slow and steady, the river murmuring its endless song. The idea of the dollar was like a seed planted in the minds of those gathered, a fragile thing that needed care to grow. They spoke of designed simple engravings of liberty, of stars, of field symbols that spoke of a shared hope, a shared future. The paper would be no ordinary scrap, but a canvas for trust, its value rooted not in its weight, but in the belief that it would be honored, from one hand to the next, across towns and years. The men's voices grew softer as the night deepened, their thoughts drifting to the world this paper could build, a world where trust was the truest currency. Samuel, the printer, lingered after the others left, his fingers brushing the edge of a blank sheet of paper, its texture rough yet promising, like the earth before a planting. He imagined the press that would bring this dollar to life, its wheels turning slowly, its ink leaving marks that would carry dreams across a nation. The room was quiet now, save for the faint crackle of the dying fire, and Samuel felt a calm settle over him, as if the idea itself were a lullaby, soothing his heart with its gentle promise. The stars outside shone brighter, their light filtering through the window, casting soft shadows that danced like whispers of a new era. The town, with its cobblestone paths and lantern-lit homes, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for this new currency to take root. It was a time of simplicity of trust, forged in shared glances and quiet agreements, and the dollar was to be a reflection of that trust. Piece of paper that held the weight of a handshake, the warmth of a neighbor's nod. Elias's journey, though yet to come in this tale, would one day be touched by this very dollar, its story a thread in the tapestry of his own. For now, the town slept, its dreams as soft as the river's flow, carrying the promise of a currency that would change the world, one gentle exchange at a time. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture the colonial town, its lanterns glowing softly, the river's song a gentle lullaby. Feel the cool night air, the faint scent of ink and wax, and let your breath slow, matching the rhythm of the star's gentle pulse. The birth of the dollar is a story of trust, of quiet beginnings, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises kept across time. Chapter 3. The First Printing Press. The colonial town lay wrapped in the quiet embrace of dawn, its wooden buildings standing like silent sentinels along the cobblestone streets, their windows catching the first soft rays of sunlight. The air was cool and crisp, scented with the faint musk of dew-soaked wood and the distant sweetness of blooming orchards beyond the river. In a small workshop at the edge of the town, where the cobblestones gave way to a dirt path, stood an old printing press, its wooden frame weathered but sturdy, its iron gears gleaming faintly in the dim light of a single lantern. This was Samuel's domain, a place where the idea of the first dollar would take shape, not in gold or silver, but in ink and paper, in the quiet promise of trust. The workshop was a haven of calm, its walls lined with shelves of neatly stacked paper, their edges curling slightly, as if whispering secrets of the trees they once were. The scent of ink hung in the air, rich and earthy, mingling with the faint tang of oil used to keep the press's gears turning smoothly. Samuel stood before the press, his hands steady, his eyes tracing the intricate machinery with a reverence born of years spent coaxing words into the world. The press was old, its wood darkened by time, yet it seemed alive, its creaks and groans a soft song, like the river's murmur outside. Each morning, as the town stirred gently awake, Samuel would light the lantern, its golden glow casting long shadows that danced across the room, inviting the day's work to begin. He began with the paper, sheets cut carefully from rolls of linen rag, their texture rough yet soft, like the earth after a spring rain. He handled each sheet with care, his fingers brushing its surface, feeling the faint grain that would soon carry the weight of a nation's trust. The ink, dark as a moonless night, sat in a wooden tray, its surface glistening as he stirred it slowly, the soft scrape of the wooden paddle blending with the morning's quiet. Samuel prepared the press with a gentle rhythm, his movements deliberate, unhurried, as if each step were a ritual, a moment to honor the dream taking shape. The gears turned with a low, soothing hum, their sound as steady as a heartbeat, filling the workshop with a sense of calm purpose. The design for the dollar was simple yet profound, etched onto a metal plate with care by an artist whose hands moved with the precision of a poet. Symbols of liberty, a star, a tree, a rising sun, were carved in delicate lines, each one a whisper of hope, of a future where trust could be held in something as fragile as paper. Samuel inked the plate, his hands steady, the scent of ink rising like a promise. He placed the paper carefully, aligning it with the press's frame, and pulled the lever, the press descending with a soft thud, a sound as gentle as a sigh. The gears turned, the paper pressed against the plate, and when Samuel lifted it, there it was, the first dollar, its ink still wet, its lines sharp and clear, glowing faintly in the lantern's light. He held the note gently, as if it were a living thing, its surface warm from the press, its edges crisp yet delicate. The star at its center seemed to shimmer, catching the light like a beacon, while the words $1 stood bold, a quiet declaration of value rooted not in metal, but in belief. Samuel's heart beat steadily, not with excitement, but with a deep calm, a sense that this paper was more than currency. It was a promise, a thread in the tapestry of a nation's dreams. He placed the note on a wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of work, and watched as the ink dried, the dollar settling into its new existence, ready to carry trust from one hand to the next. Outside, the town began to stir, the soft clatter of cartwheels and the low murmur of voices blending with the river as endless song. The workshop remained a sanctuary, its walls holding the quiet magic of creation, the press standing silent now, its work done for the moment. Samuel sat back, his hands resting lightly on his knees, and let his thoughts drift, soft and unhurried, like clouds across a twilight sky. The dollar was born, not with fanfare, but with a gentle act of faith, a belief that something so small could hold so much: a nation's trust, a people's hope, a future woven from moments like this. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture the workshop, its lantern casting a warm glow, the press standing as a quiet guardian of dreams. Feel the cool air, scented with ink and wood, and let your breath slow, matching the gentle rhythm of the gear's hum. The birth of the first dollar is a story of trust, of quiet creation, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly, like ink drying on a page, whispering of promises kept in the stillness of a starlit night. Chapter 4. The first hands to hold it. The colonial town rested gently under a late afternoon sky, its cobblestone streets bathed in the soft, golden light of a sun dipping toward the horizon. The air was warm, scented with the faint sweetness of blooming apple orchards and the earthy tang of freshly turned soil from nearby fields. Lanterns flickered to life along the pathways, their glow casting delicate shadows that danced like whispers on the wooden walls of the houses. The river, ever present, murmured softly, its waters catching the fading light in ripples that shimmered like dreams. In this tranquil setting, the first dollar, fresh from Samuel's printing press, was about to find its way into the world, into the hands of a man whose touch would mark the beginning of its journey. His name was Thomas, a modest shopkeeper whose small store stood at the heart of the town, its wooden sign creaking gently in the breeze. The shop was a humble affair, its shelves lined with bolts of cloth, jars of honey, and sacks of flour, each item arranged with care, as if it held a story of its own. Thomas was a man of quiet habits, his hands rough from years of measuring grain and folding fabric, his eyes kind but weary, reflecting the weight of a life built on small, steady efforts. He wore a simple linen shirt, its edges frayed from use, and his apron was dusted with flour, a testament to the morning's work. As he stood behind the counter, the scent of beeswax and dried herbs filled the air, mingling with the faint warmth of a fire crackling in the corner hearth. It was on this afternoon that Samuel, the printer, stepped into the shop, his steps slow and deliberate, the first dollar tucked carefully in a leather pouch at his side. The bell above the door chimed softly, its sound blending with the hum of the town outside, and Thomas looked up, his face breaking into a gentle smile. "Samuel," he said, his voice as warm as the firelight, "What brings you here so late in the day?" Samuel paused, his fingers brushing the pouch, feeling the faint outline of the paper within. He explained the new currency, his words soft and measured, like a storyteller weaving a tale for a sleepy child. "It's not gold or silver," he said, "but paper, a promise we make to one another. $1, they call it." Thomas listened, his hands resting on the counter, his eyes tracing Samuel's face with a quiet curiosity. When Samuel drew the dollar from the pouch, holding it out in the dim light, Thomas leaned closer, his breath catching slightly. The note was crisp, its edges sharp, the ink still carrying the faint scent of the press. The star at its center gleamed, catching the firelight like a tiny beacon, while the words $1 stood bold yet delicate, a declaration of value that seemed almost magical. Thomas reached out, his fingers hesitating, as if the paper were too fragile to touch. $1, he murmured, his voice soft as a whisper. "And this holds the worth of silver?" Samuel nodded, his smile gentle. "It holds our trust," he said, "and that is worth more than any coin." Thomas took the dollar, his fingers brushing its surface, feeling the faint texture of the linen rag paper, rough yet soft, like the earth after a spring rain. He turned it over, marveling at the simplicity of its design, the star, the tree, the rising sun, each symbol a quiet promise of hope, of a nation finding its way. His heart stirred, not with excitement, but with a deep calm, a sense that this paper was more than a tool for trade. It was a thread in a larger tapestry, a connection between people, a trust woven into the very fiber of the note. He held it to the light, watching the shadows play across its surface, and felt a warmth, as if the dollar itself were alive, carrying the dreams of those who had imagined it. The shop was quiet now, the fire's crackle blending with the distant murmur of the river, and Thomas stood still, the dollar in his hands, his thoughts drifting like leaves on a gentle stream. He thought of his wife, Sarah, who waited at home, her hands busy with mending or stirring a pot of stew, her smile a light that warmed their small house. He thought of the townsfolk who came to his shop each day, their lives interwoven with his own, the baker, with his flour-dusted hands, the weaver with her bolts of cloth, the farmer who traded eggs for thread. This dollar, so small and fragile, felt like a bridge between them all, a promise that their work, their trust, could carry them forward. He placed the dollar on the counter, its surface glowing faintly in the firelight, and looked at Samuel, his eyes steady but soft. "What can I give you for it?" he asked, his voice low, as if the moment were sacred. Samuel gestured to a small jar of honey, its golden contents catching the light like liquid sunlight. "That will do," he said, and Thomas nodded, his hands moving slowly to wrap the jar in a cloth, the exchange as gentle as a handshake between old friends. The dollar remained on the counter, its presence a quiet weight, a reminder that this was no ordinary trade, but the beginning of something new. As Samuel left, the bell chiming softly behind him, Thomas stood alone in the shop, the dollar still resting before him. He felt a sense of wonder, not for the paper itself, but for what it represented, a trust that stretched beyond his shop, beyond the town, into a future he could only imagine. He thought of the years he'd spent measuring flour, counting coins, building a life from small, careful acts. This dollar was like those acts, small yet profound, a seed planted in the soil of trust, waiting to grow. He slipped it into a wooden box beneath the counter, its lid worn, smooth by years of use, and felt a calm settle over him, as if the act of holding the dollar had woven him into a larger story. The town outside grew quieter, the lanterns casting their soft glow across the streets, their light mingling with the stars now peeking through the sky. Thomas stepped to the door, his apron dusted with flour, and looked out at the town, its houses huddled together like friends sharing a secret. The river's song was a gentle lullaby, its rhythm blending with the rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. He thought of the dollar, now resting in its box, and felt a connection to the hands that would hold it next, to the lives it would touch, to the dreams it would carry. Wealth, he mused, was not in the paper, but in the trust it held, in the quiet moments of exchange that bound people together. He closed the shop, the door creaking softly, and walked home through the town, his steps slow and steady, the cobblestones cool beneath his feet. The air was fragrant with the scent of pine and river water, and Thomas felt his body relax, his thoughts soften, as if the night itself were inviting him to rest. The dollar's story was just beginning, its journey a thread in the fabric of time, and Thomas was its first keeper, his touch a gentle mark on its path. He reached his house, where Sarah waited, her smile a beacon in the doorway, and he felt a warmth, a sense that this moment, this life, was richer than any coin could measure. As he lay in bed that night, his straw mattress rustling beneath him, Thomas thought of the dollar, its star glowing in his mind like a promise. He heard the river's distant song, felt the night's calm wrap around him, and let his breath slow, each exhale a release of the day's weight. The dollar was a small thing, yet it held a vast possibility, a trust that would carry it through hands and years, weaving a story that would outlive him. His eyelids grew heavy, his thoughts drifting like clouds across a moonlit sky, and he felt himself sinking into peace, the dollar's quiet promise a lullaby, guiding him towards sleep. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture Thomas in his shop, the dollar glowing softly in the firelight, the town wrapped in the calm of evening. Feel the cool air, scented with honey and herbs, and let your breath slow, matching the gentle rhythm of the river's flow. The dollar's first touch is a story of trust, of quiet wonder, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises kept in the heart's quiet knowing. Chapter 5. The Merchant's Exchange. The colonial town stirred gently under the soft glow of a new morning, its cobblestone streets glistening with dew as the first light crept over the hills, painting the wooden rooftops in shades of gold and rose. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of fresh-baked bread from the bakery and the faint tongue of river water, its ripples catching the dawn like a mirror of dreams. The market square, at the heart of the town, was coming alive, its stalls unfurling like petals, their wooden frames creaking softly as merchants arranged their wares. Baskets of apples, bolts of homespun cloth, and jars of honey lined the stalls, each item glowing in the morning light, as if infused with the quiet promise of the day. The river's murmur blended with the low hum of voices, a soothing rhythm that wrapped the town in a blanket of calm. Thomas, the shopkeeper, stood at his stall in the market, his hands moving with care as he arranged sacks of flour and small crocks of butter, their surfaces dusted with the morning's dew. The first dollar, still crisp from Samuel's press, rested in the wooden box beneath his counter, its presence a quiet weight, like a secret waiting to be shared. Thomas's apron was tied loosely, its edges frayed from years of use, and his face held a gentle smile, his eyes scanning the market with a warmth that came from knowing every face, every voice. The dollar had stirred something in him, a sense of wonder, a curiosity about how this paper, so light in his hand, could carry the value of silver, could weave him into a larger story. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows that danced across the cobblestones, a farmer named Hannah approached Thomas's stall, her basket heavy with eggs, their shells smooth and cool, nestled in a bed of straw. Her dress was simple, patched at the elbows, but her eyes were bright, her steps steady, as if the earth itself supported her. She greeted Thomas with a nod, her voice soft as the breeze that rustled the market's awnings. "Good morning, Thomas," she said, setting her basket down with care. "I've eggs to trade today fresh from the hens, laid just this dawn." Thomas smiled, his hands brushing the flour from his apron, and leaned forward, inspecting the eggs with a practiced eye, their delicate shells glowing in the sunlight. He thought of the dollar, tucked away in its box, and felt a gentle stir in his chest, a quiet impulse to test its promise. "Hannah," he said, his voice low and calm, "I've something new today, not coin, but paper. A dollar, they call it, worth a silver piece." He reached beneath the counter, his fingers brushing the smooth wood of the box, and drew out the note, holding it carefully, as if it were a fragile leaf. Hannah's eyes widened, her curiosity as soft as the morning light, and she leaned closer, her breath catching as she studied the paper. The star at its center seemed to glow, the ink sharp and clear, the words $1, a quiet declaration of trust. "Paper for silver?" she murmured, her voice tinged with wonder, like a child hearing a new story for the first time. Thomas nodded, his smile steady, and explained what Samuel had told him, that the dollar was a promise, a shared agreement that this paper held value because they believed it did. Hannah's fingers hesitated, then reached out, brushing the note's edge, feeling its texture, rough yet soft, like the linen of her own dress. "It's strange," she said, her voice as gentle as the river's flow, but beautiful in a way, a promise you can hold. Thomas felt a warmth, not of certainty, but of connection, as if the dollar were a bridge between them, a thread tying their trust to the town, to the nation beyond. They agreed to the exchange her basket of eggs for the dollar, a trade as simple as any other, yet heavy with meaning. Thomas handed her the note, his fingers lingering for a moment, as if reluctant to let it go, and Hannah took it with care, tucking it into a small cloth pouch at her waist. She offered the basket in return, its straw rustling softly, the eggs nestled like treasures within. The moment felt sacred, not because of the goods, but because of the trust it carried, the quiet leap of faith that this paper could hold the worth of her labor, of his flower, of their shared lives. The market hummed around them, its rhythm steady and calm, the voices of other merchants blending with the creak of carts and the rustle of leaves overhead. Hannah lingered a moment, her eyes tracing the dollar in her pouch, and Thomas watched her, his heart full of a quiet awe. This was the first exchange, the dollar's first step into the world, and it felt like the beginning of a story that would stretch far beyond their small market. He thought of Samuel, of the press that had birthed this note, and of the townsfolk who would soon hold it, each one adding to its journey. Wealth, he mused, was not in the paper itself, but in the trust it carried, in the moments of connection it wove between hands and hearts. The dollar was a promise, not just of value, but of a shared dream, a belief that together they could build something lasting. As Hannah walked away, her basket now empty, the dollar safe in her pouch, Thomas returned to his stall, his hands moving again among the sacks of flour, their weight grounding him in the familiar rhythm of his work. The market bustled gently, its colors vibrant in the morning, light red apples, green herbs, blue cloth, each stall a piece of the town's quiet mosaic. The air grew warmer, the scent of bread and honey mingling with the river's faint salt, and Thomas felt a peace settle over him, as if the exchange had woven him deeper into the town's heartbeat. The dollar was no longer his, but its story was part of him, a thread in the tapestry of his life. The day wore on, the sun climbing higher, its light softening the edges of the world. Thomas stood at his stall, greeting neighbors with a nod, his voice calm, his smile a beacon of trust. The dollar, now in Hannah's hands, was on its way, carrying its promise to the next person, the next exchange, the next quiet moment of faith. He thought of his wife, Sarah, waiting at home, her hands busy with a needle and thread, her laughter a light that warmed their evenings. He thought of the town, its people bound by small acts of trade, of kindness, of trust. The dollar was a symbol of that bond, a reminder that wealth was not in what they held, but in what they shared. As evening approached, the market grew quieter, the stalls closing one by one, their awnings folded like petals at dusk. Thomas packed his remaining goods, the wooden box now empty of the dollar, its absence a gentle reminder of the exchange that had marked the day. He stepped out into the street, the cobblestones cool beneath his feet, and looked up at the sky, where the first stars were beginning to appear, their light soft and steady, like the trust he'd placed in the dollar. The river's song grew louder in the stillness, its rhythm a lullaby that seemed to cradle the town, and Thomas felt his body relax, his thoughts soften, as if the night itself were inviting him to rest. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture Thomas at his stall, the market's gentle hum fading into the evening, the dollar now a quiet promise in Hannah's hands. Feel the cool air, scented with bread and river water, and let your breath slow, matching the rhythm of the town's heartbeat. The merchant's exchange is a story of trust, of connection, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly, like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises kept in the quiet moments of a shared life. Chapter 6. The Journey Through Many Hands. The colonial town nestled quietly under a sky of deepening blue, its cobblestone streets glowing faintly in the soft light of lanterns hung from wooden posts. The air was cool, scented with the faint sweetness of ripe apples and the earthy tongue of the river that wound through the valley, its gentle ripples catching the first stars like whispers of light. The market had closed for the day, its stalls now silent, their awnings folded like petals at dusk, but the memory of its bustle lingered, a quiet hum of connection that bound the townsfolk together. The first dollar, born from Samuel's press and passed from Thomas's hands to Hannah's, was beginning its journey, a single note weaving through lives, its path as fluid and unhurried as the river itself. Hannah, the farmer who had traded her eggs for the dollar, carried it home in her cloth pouch, its crisp edges brushing against her fingers as she walked the dirt path to her small farm. The pouch hung at her waist, its weight light but significant, like a seed carrying the promise of growth. Her home was a modest wooden cottage, its roof thatched with straw, its windows glowing with the warm light of a hearth fire. As she stepped inside, the scent of fresh hay and baked bread wrapped around her, soothing her like a lullaby. She placed the dollar on a wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of use, and sat for a moment, her eyes tracing the note's delicate engravings, the star, the tree, the rising sun, each symbol a quiet beacon of trust. By morning, Hannah took the dollar to the market, her basket now filled with bundles of carrots and turnips, their earthy scent mingling with the dew-kissed air. She approached a weaver named Clara, whose stall was a cascade of homespun cloth, its colors soft in the dawn, light blues like the river, greens like the hills, and creams like the clouds drifting overhead. Clara's hands moved with a gentle rhythm, folding fabric with care, her smile as warm as the sunlight filtering through the market's oak tree. Hannah offered the dollar for a length of cloth, explaining its value with a quiet confidence, her voice soft but steady, like the breeze rustling the leaves. Clara hesitated, her fingers brushing the note, feeling its texture, rough yet delicate, like the linen she wove. $1, she murmured, her eyes bright with curiosity. And this is worth my cloth? Hannah nodded, her smile a gentle bridge of trust, and Clara accepted, the dollar passing into her hands, its journey continuing. Clara carried the dollar through her day, its presence a quiet companion as she traded cloth for grain, for candles, for a small jar of honey. Each exchange was a moment of connection, a thread in the town's tapestry, the dollar weaving through hands with a grace that felt almost sacred. By evening, she passed it to a blacksmith named Jonah, whose forge glowed at the edge of the market, its heat a contrast to the cool night air. Jonah's hands were strong, calloused from years of hammering iron, but they held the dollar gently, as if it were a fragile thing, its ink catching the firelight like a star. He studied it, his eyes tracing the symbols, and felt a stir of wonder, not for the paper itself, but for the trust. It carried the promise that this small note could hold the value of his labor, his skill, his time. Jonah used the dollar to buy a sack of flour from Thomas's shop, the note returning to its first keeper, only to be passed again. The next day to a fisherman named Caleb, who traded it for a loaf of bread. Caleb, with salt in his hair and the scent of the river on his skin, carried the dollar to a distant port, where he gave it to a sailor named Eliza for a coil of rope. Eliza, her hands weathered by years at sea, tucked the dollar into her coat, its crispness a contrast to the rough canvas of her life. She saw it not as paper, but as a piece of the land she'd left behind, a reminder of the towns and people who trusted its worth. Each hand that held the dollar saw it differently. Hannah as a reward for her eggs, Clara as a trade for her craft, Jonah as a measure of his forge, Caleb as a link to the shore, Eliza as a whisper of home, yet all shared in its promise, its quiet power to connect. The dollar moved through these hands like a leaf on the river, its path unhurried, its journey a testament to the trust that bound the town together. Each exchange was a moment of pause, a chance to marvel at the idea that a piece of paper could carry such weight, could weave lives together across the market's cobblestones. The note grew softer with each touch, its edges beginning to fray, yet its value remained, held not in its ink or paper, but in the belief of those who passed it on. The town's rhythm was steady, its days marked by the gentle bustle of trade, the laughter of children, the creak of carts, and the river's endless song, all weaving a backdrop for the dollar's quiet journey. As night fell, the town grew still, its lanterns casting pools of light that flickered like dreams. The dollar rested now in Eliza's coat, carried far from the town, its story stretching beyond the river's banks. Yet in the town its memory lingered, a whisper of trust that echoed in the market's hum, in the hands that had held it, in the lives it had touched. The stars above shone brightly, their light a gentle reminder of time's patient flow, and the river sang on, its notes a lullaby that seemed to cradle the world. The dollar was more than paper. It was a story, a promise, a thread in the tapestry of human connection. Its journey a quiet testament to the wealth found in trust. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture the dollar moving through hands, from Hannah's farm to Clara's loom, from Jonah's forge to Caleb's nets, and into Eliza's sea-bound coat. Feel the cool night air, scented with river water and hay, and let your breath slow, matching the gentle rhythm of the town's heartbeat. The dollar's journey is a story of trust, of quiet connections, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises shared across time and hands. Chapter 7. A Reflection on Trust. The colonial town lay cradled in the soft embrace of twilight, its cobblestone streets glowing faintly under the gentle flicker of lanterns, their light casting long, delicate shadows that danced like whispers on the wooden walls. The air was cool, scented with the faint sweetness of blooming jasmine and the earthy richness of the river, its waters murmuring softly as they wound through the valley, reflecting the first stars like scattered dreams. The market square, now quiet, rested after the day's bustle, its stalls folded like petals at dusk, their wooden frames silent, but still warm from the sun. In this tranquil hour, the first dollar passed from hand to hand, carried with it a question as old as the hills. What is trust, and how does a simple piece of paper come to hold the weight of a promise? The dollar, now in the hands of Eliza the sailor, rested in her weathered coat pocket as she stood at the edge of a distant port, the sea stretching before her like an endless canvas of deep blue. The scent of salt and tar filled the air, mingling with the faint creak of ships rocking gently at the dock, their sails furled like sleeping wings. Eliza's hands, rough from years of pulling ropes and mending nets, brushed the dollar's fraying edges, its texture soft yet resilient, like the canvas of her sails. She paused, her eyes tracing the note's faint star, its ink slightly faded, but still bold, and felt a quiet wonder stir within her. This paper, so light in her hand, was more than a tool for trade. It was a promise, a shared belief that bound her to the farmer, the weaver, the blacksmith, and the shopkeeper who had held it before her. Trust, she mused, was the heartbeat of the dollar, the invisible thread that wove it through the hands of strangers. It was not the paper itself, nor the ink, nor even the symbols of liberty etched upon it, but the agreement that gave it value, a quiet pact between people, a whisper that said, "This matters because we say it does." Eliza leaned against a wooden post, the sea's gentle rhythm blending with the evening's calm, and thought of the land she'd left behind, the town where this dollar was born. She imagined Thomas's hands dusted with flour, passing it to Hannah. Hannah, her basket of eggs, a gift of her labor, trading it to Clara. Clara, her loom singing, softly giving it to Jonah. And Jonah, his forge glowing, handing it to Caleb. Each exchange was a moment of trust, a leap of faith as delicate as a star's light, yet as strong as the river that carried the town's dreams. Back in the town, the memory of the dollar lingered, its journey a quiet ripple in the lives of those who had held it. Thomas sat in his shop, the wooden counter worn smooth by years of trade, and thought of the dollar, now far away, its path stretching beyond the cobblestones he knew. He wondered at the trust it carried, how a piece of paper, so fragile it could tear in the wind, could hold the worth of silver, of labor, of dreams. Trust, he realized, was not just in the dollar, but in the people who gave it meaning. It was in the baker's nod as he weighed flour, in the farmer's careful tending of her fields, in the weaver's steady hands, in the blacksmith's fire. It was in the quiet moments of exchange, where hands met, eyes met, and promises were made without words. The river's song grew softer as the night deepened, its notes a gentle lullaby that seemed to cradle the town in its arms. Thomas stepped outside, his apron folded neatly, and stood under the starlit sky, the air cool against his skin. He thought of trust as a river, flowing through time, carrying the hopes of those who came before and those yet to come. The dollar was a vessel on that river, its value not in its paper, but in the faith that kept it moving, from hand to hand, from heart to heart. He felt a warmth, not of possession, but of connection, a sense that his small act of accepting the dollar had woven him into a larger story, one that stretched beyond the hills, beyond the sea. In the port, Eliza tucked the dollar back into her pocket, her thoughts drifting like clouds across a moonlit sky. She wondered about the hands that would hold it next, the lives it would touch, the promises it would carry. Trust, she thought, was a fragile thing, yet it endured, like the stars that shone through storms, like a river that flowed through seasons. The dollar was a symbol of that endurance, a reminder that wealth was not in gold or silver, but in the quiet agreements that bound people together, in the belief that a promise, once made, would be kept. She felt her body relax, her breath slow as the sea's rhythm rocked her gently, like a cradle on the waves. The town and the port, though miles apart, were connected by the dollar's journey, by the trust that carried it through hands and hearts. The night was a blanket, wrapping both places in its calm, its stars a canopy of light that seemed to whisper of shared dreams. The dollar, though small, was a thread in a vast tapestry, its path a story of faith, of connection, of the quiet power of belief. Each person who held it added to its meaning, their trust a note in the song that echoed through the market, through the port, through the years. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture the dollar in Eliza's pocket, its star glowing faintly, the river and the sea singing in harmony. Feel the cool night air, scented with salt and jasmine, and let your breath slow, matching the gentle rhythm of the world's heartbeat. The dollar story is one of trust, of quiet connections that weave lives together, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises kept in the heart's quiet knowing. Chapter 8. The Dollar Across Time. The colonial town rested under a blanket of stars, its cobblestone streets silent, bathed in the soft, silvery glow of moonlight that spilled across rooftops and shimmered on the river's gentle ripples. The air was cool, scented with the faint sweetness of blooming clover and the earthy warmth of fields settling into the night. Lanterns hung from wooden posts, their flames flickering like quiet promises, casting shadows that danced slowly, as if swaying to the rhythm of a distant lullaby. The first dollar, born in the humble workshop of Samuel's press, had begun its journey, passing through hands Thomas's, Hannah's, Clara's, Jonah's, Caleb's, and now Eliza's, each touch a thread in a tapestry that would stretch across decades, across a nation, across time itself. The dollar, now slightly worn, its edges softened by the hands that held, it had left the small town carried by. Eliza to a bustling port where ships rocked gently against the docks, their creaking timbers blending with the sea's endless song. From there, it moved inland to cities where cobblestones gave way to wider streets, where lanterns multiplied into rows of glowing lights, and markets grew into sprawling hubs of trade. The dollar passed through the hands of merchants, tailors, innkeepers, and travelers, each exchange a quiet act of trust, a moment where the paper's promise was honored, its value upheld not by its ink, but by the belief of those who carried it. As years turned to decades, the dollar's journey wove through a nation finding its shape, its edges fraying like the hem of a well-loved coat. Yet its symbols, the star, the tree, the rising sun, remained clear, a beacon of the trust that had birthed it. It saw the rise of new towns, their wooden houses giving way to brick, their dirt paths hardening into roads that stretched toward horizons once unimagined. It passed through markets where voices shouted in new accents, where goods from distant lands, silks, spices, and books mingled with the familiar sense of bread and hay. The dollar was there in quiet moments, tucked into a farmer's pouch after a harvest, slipped across a counter for a warm meal, or folded carefully in a letter sent to a loved one far away. Through times of hardship, the dollar endured, its paper worn but resilient, like the people who held it. It saw winters when fires burned low, when families huddled close, their breath visible in the cold. It still trusted the dollar to buy wood, to buy bread, to keep hope alive. It saw wars when soldiers carried it in their pockets, its weight a reminder of home, of markets left behind, of promises waiting to be kept. The dollar was there in moments of prosperity, too, when towns grew into cities, when lanterns were replaced by gaslights, then electric bulbs, their glow brighter but no less warm. Each hand that held it added to its story, a quiet testament to the trust that carried it through time. The dollar's design changed, its paper growing stronger, its symbols more intricate, yet its essence remained, a promise, a shared belief that a piece of paper could hold the value of labor, of dreams, of time. It became a symbol not just of trade, but of a nation's heartbeat, its journey mirroring the growth of a people who trusted in each other, in the future, in the quiet power of a promise kept. The dollar passed through hands that built bridges, that planted fields, that wrote laws and stories, each exchange a thread in a vast, ever-growing tapestry, woven with the colors of trust, of connection, of hope. In a quiet moment, decades after its birth, the dollar rested in the hands of a young woman named Abigail, a seamstress in a growing city where church bells rang softly on Sunday mornings. She held it gently, her fingers tracing its worn edges, feeling the texture of a paper that had seen countless hands before hers. The air around her was warm, scented with the faint sweetness of lavender from her sewing basket and the distant hum of a city waking to the day. Abigail thought of the dollar not as money, but as a story of farmers, merchants, sailors, and soldiers, of trust that had carried it through years of change. She tucked it into her apron, its presence a quiet comfort, like a letter from an old friend, and went about her work, her needle moving in a rhythm as steady as the river that had cradled its birth. The dollar's journey was not one of grand triumphs, but of quiet endurance, of moments strung together like beads on a string, each one glowing with the light of trust. It had seen the nation grow, its fields stretch wider, its cities rise higher, yet it remained a simple thing, a piece of paper, a promise, a reminder that wealth was not in the note itself, but in the hands that held it, the hearts that trusted it. The stars above the city, like those above the colonial town, shone with a gentle light, their glow a constant in a world of change, whispering that time was the truest keeper of all promises. As night deepened, the city grew quiet, its streets hushed, its lights dimming like the lanterns of old. Abigail sat by her window, the dollar still in her apron, and felt a calm settle over her, as if the note carried the peace of the town where it was born, the rhythm of the river that had sung it into being. Her breath slowed, her thoughts drifted, soft and unhurried, like clouds across a moonlit sky. The dollar's journey was a story of trust, of time, of the quiet connections that wove a nation together, and it invited her to rest, to trust in the unfolding of her own life, just as it invited the countless hands that had held it before. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment, picture the dollar in Abigail's hands, its worn edges soft, its star still glowing faintly under the city's lights. Feel the cool night air, scented with lavender and distant rivers, and let your breath slow, matching the gentle rhythm of the world's heartbeat. The dollar's journey across time is a story of trust, of quiet endurance, and it invites you to let go, to sink deeper into calm. Let the tale carry you now, its soothing current guiding you closer to sleep, where dreams unfold softly like starlight on a still river, whispering of promises kept across the gentle expanse of time. Chapter 9. Forgotten but not lost. How its origins faded in memory as the night deepens. Wrapping the world in a soft, velvet hush, we find ourselves cradled in a moment of profound stillness, where the stars above glimmer like distant lanterns, casting a gentle glow over a sleeping earth. The air is cool now, carrying the faint, soothing scent of dew settling on grass, mingling with the earthy whisper of leaves stirred by a tender breeze. In this tranquil embrace, dear listener, we turn our thoughts to a quiet reflection, a meditation on the first dollar, that humble slip of paper whose origins, like footprints in soft sand, have been smoothed away by the gentle tides of time. Yet, though its beginnings have faded into the mists of history, they are not lost. They rest quietly, patiently, waiting to be rediscovered in the tender folds of memory, like a melody half remembered from a distant dream. Picture, if you will, a small town square bathed in the soft golden glow of gaslights, their flickering flames dancing slowly, casting long shadows that sway like whispers across cobblestone paths. The year is distant, a time when the world moved at a gentler pace, when the dollar had become a familiar companion, passed from hand to hand with the quiet ease of routine. The story of its birth, those candlelit rooms filled with the scent of ink and aged wood, the careful strokes of quills sketching dreams. The slow, deliberate rhythm of the printing press has slipped into the shadows like a lullaby sung to a child now grown. People no longer speak of the visionaries who first imagined it, nor of the workshop where ink met paper in a delicate dance of creation. Instead, the dollar moves through lives with a serene inevitability, its origins a faint echo, like the distant chime of a clock striking midnight in a sleeping village. This forgetting, dear listener, is not a loss, but a softening, a natural part of time's patient, unhurried work. Imagine a riverbed, its jagged stones worn smooth over centuries by the gentle, persistent flow of water, their edges rounded into curves that invite the touch of a curious hand. So too does memory work, softening the sharp details of history, allowing the dollar to become more than its origin story, a symbol, a quiet agreement woven into the fabric of human connection. Close your eyes and feel the sensory whispers of this moment. The faint crinkle of the bill as it's tucked into a warm leather pocket. The soft murmur of voices in a bustling yet peaceful marketplace. The distant rustle of leaves as the night deepens. Each sound blending into a symphony of calm that soothes the soul. Consider for a moment the nature of memory itself, how it shifts and shimmers like moonlight on a still lake, elusive yet achingly beautiful. Time, that eternal weaver, teaches us that what we forget is not always gone. It lingers in the quiet spaces, in the habits and hopes we carry forward without thought. Wealth, in this gentle reflection, is not in clinging to every detail of the past, but in trusting the flow of life, in believing that the essence of what matters endures beyond the reach of recollection. The dollar story, though forgotten by many, lives on in every exchange, in every gentle handshake that whispers, "I trust you, as you trust me." Human connection, that delicate, enduring thread, weaves through these moments, stronger than any paper, more lasting than any ink, a testament to the quiet power of shared faith. In the stillness of this chapter, let your mind drift to an old ledger, its pages yellowed and soft, resting in a dusty archive beneath a canopy of cobwebs. Within its lines, written in fading ink, the tale of the first dollar is recorded, the names of those who dreamed it, the dates of its creation, the hopes it carried. Yet few come to read it now, for the world has moved forward, carried by new dreams, new promises. The ledger's presence, though, is a quiet comfort, a reminder that origins, though forgotten, are never truly lost. They sleep within us, in the values we uphold, in the trust we place in one another under the vast, unchanging sky. The dollar, once a novel idea born in a flicker of candlelight, has become a silent partner in countless lives, its beginnings a whisper beneath the surface of everyday moments, like a river's current hidden beneath its glassy calm. As you listen, let your breath slow, aligning with the gentle rhythm of this forgetting. Feel the weight of the day slip away, like leaves falling softly from a tree, carried off by a breeze you cannot see, but can feel against your skin. Wealth, in its truest form, is not in holding tightly to the past, but in embracing the present, in trusting that what matters will find its way back to us, like a familiar path rediscovered after years. The dollar's story, though faded in the minds of many, is woven into the tapestry of human connection, a delicate pattern of quiet agreements that stretches across generations, binding us in a serene dance of give and take. Imagine now a market stall, its wooden frame weathered by time, where a woman counts her earnings at day's end, the dollar among them, its edges softened by countless hands. She does not know its history, nor does she need to. Its value lies in the moment, in the trust it represents as she tucks it away for tomorrow. The air around her is filled with sensory whispers. The faint clink of coins, the soft rustle of fabric as she adjusts her shawl, the distant call of a night bird settling into its nest. These are the sounds of life continuing, of trust enduring even as the details of the dollar as birth fade into the gentle haze of time. Human connection shines here, a quiet glow that warms the heart, reminding us that value is not in the paper itself, but in the promises it carries, the bonds it fosters. Reflect, dear listener, on how trust endures, even when memory falters. The dollar's origins may have slipped from common knowledge, but their essence remains, like the roots of a great tree hidden beneath the earth, nourishing branches that reach for the sky. Wealth is found in these roots, in the unseen ties that link us to one another, in the gentle faith that what we create together will endure. As the night wraps you in its soothing embrace, let this reflection settle over you like a soft blanket, warming your thoughts, easing your mind. The world outside is hushed now, the stars watching over you with their ancient, patient light, each one a reminder that even forgotten stories hold power, whispering softly of trust and connection. This chapter invites you to release your own thoughts, to let them drift like clouds across a moonlit sky, unburdened and free. The dollar's tale, though softened by time, is a lullaby of sorts, a reminder that what matters most is not what we remember, but what we continue to share. Feel the serenity of this moment, the calm rhythm of your breath aligning with the gentle pulse of the night. The marketplace, the ledger, the quiet exchanges, they all fade into the background now, leaving only peace in their wake. Trust, that quiet force, carries you forward, just as it carried the dollar through countless hands, each one a step in a journey that continues still. As this chapter draws to a close, let its imagery linger, a soothing balm for your soul. Picture the town square once more, now empty save for the soft glow of lanterns and the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. The dollar rests somewhere in that world, perhaps in a merchant's till, perhaps in a child's savings jar, its origins forgotten, but its purpose enduring. Wealth, in this gentle forgetting, is the trust we place in tomorrow, the calm assurance that life's currents will carry us where we need to go. Human connection, the heart of this story, beats softly in every exchange, every moment of faith shared between souls. Breathe deeply now, dear listener, letting the calm of this chapter envelop you fully. The night is deep, the world still, and you are held in its gentle embrace, where forgotten stories whisper softly, guiding you closer to peaceful slumber. As the stars fade into the promise of dawn, let your thoughts dissolve, carried away like mist on a morning breeze. Rest now, cradled in the serenity of this moment, and let the quiet wisdom of the dollar's faded origins lull you into dreams, where trust and connection weave their own gentle tales. Sleep beckons, soft and inviting, and you are ready to answer its call, drifting into a restful, tranquil slumber. Chapter 10. The world embraces the dollar, its rise as global money, as the night softens into a deeper hush, with the stars above twinkling like scattered pearls across a velvet sky. We find ourselves cradled in the gentle arms of time, where the world breathes in quiet unison. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of distant rain and the earthy whisper of leaves settling in the stillness. In this serene moment, dear listener, we follow the journey of the first dollar as it steps beyond the borders of its birth, drifting like a leaf on a tranquil stream, embraced by nations far and wide as a symbol of trust and connection. Its rise as global money unfolds slowly, like a flower opening under the moon's tender gaze, a story woven with the threads of human faith and quiet agreements that span oceans and eras. Imagine a bustling port at dawn, where the first light paints the horizon in shades of rose and gold, and ships rest gently against wooden docks, their sails furled like sleeping wings. The dollar, that humble slip of paper, arrives here, carried in the pocket of a traveler whose boots echo softly on the cobblestones. It is no longer just a local promise, but a whisper of value recognized in distant lands, passed from hand to hand with a calm assurance that speaks of shared belief. The air is alive with sensory whispers, the faint creak of ships rocking in the tide, the soft rustle of bills exchanged in a market stall, the distant call of a seabird gliding over the waves. These sounds blend into a soothing symphony, a reminder of life's gentle rhythm, where trust flows as freely as the morning breeze. The dollar's journey across the world was not a sudden leap, but a gradual unfolding, like mist rising from a valley at dawn. In foreign markets, it found its place among silks from the east, spices from distant shores, and grains heaped in woven baskets, each exchange a quiet nod to its growing presence. Time, that patient weaver, wove the dollar into the fabric of global trade, its green hue a familiar sight in hands that spoke different tongues, yet shared the same hope for fairness. Wealth in this moment was not measured in stacks of paper, but in the delicate bonds of trust that stretched across continents, tying merchants in London to farmers in the Americas, sailors in Asia, to traders in Africa, all under the same vast starlit sky. Feel the rhythm of this expansion, dear listener, as gentle as your own breath, slow and steady, guiding you deeper into relaxation. Picture a marketplace in a far-off city, its streets lined with stalls draped in colorful cloths, where the dollar is offered for a bolt of fine linen or a jar of honey glowing like liquid sunlight. The merchant's fingers, weathered yet gentle, trace the bill's edges, his eyes reflecting a quiet understanding of its worth, not just in goods, but in the promise it carries. Sensory details envelop the scene. The soft clink of coins in a nearby stall, the faint aroma of roasted nuts mingling with sea salt, the murmur of voices speaking in a dozen languages, yet united in the calm dance of trade. Human connection shines here, a beacon of trust that transcends borders, reminding us that money, at its heart, is a story we tell together, a tale of faith in one another's word. Reflect for a moment on the nature of trust, how it flows like a river, unseen yet powerful, carrying the dollar to places its creators could scarcely have imagined. Time teaches us that true wealth lies not in possession, but in participation, in the gentle give and take that binds us as a global family. The dollar, once a fledgling idea born in a candlelit room, has become a bridge linking lives across oceans. Its value rooted not in paper, but in the quiet agreements that make trade possible. As it passes through hands calloused, smooth, young, old, it gathers stories, each one a thread in the tapestry of human endeavor, woven with care and patience. In this chapter's calm embrace, imagine a quiet harbor at dusk, where the dollar rests in a sailor's pocket, ready to travel further still. The water laps softly against the hulls of ships, a rhythmic lullaby that mirrors the pulse of the world's markets. The sailor pauses, gazing at the bill, its symbols of eagles and shields glowing faintly in the lantern light. He muses on its journey, how a single piece of paper can carry such weight, not in gold, but in trust, in the belief that tomorrow's promises will be kept. Wealth, he reflects, is not in hoarding, but in sharing, in the gentle flow of resources that nourishes communities like rain on fertile soil. The dollar's rise is a testament to this truth, a quiet reminder that human connection is the true currency of life. As the night deepens, let your thoughts drift to a marketplace in another land, where the dollar is exchanged for a handful of spices, their scent warm and inviting, or a length of silk that shimmers like moonlight on water. The transaction is unhurried, each movement deliberate, as if honoring the moment's quiet significance. The air is filled with the soft hum of life, the rustle of paper, the gentle clatter of scales, the distant laughter of children playing in the street. These are the sounds of trust in motion, of a world embracing the dollar not as an end, but as a means to connect, to build, to dream together. Time, in its gentle wisdom, shows us that money's power lies in its ability to foster bonds, to weave a web of reliance that holds us steady amidst life's uncertainties. Let this imagery wrap around you, dear listener, like a soft shawl, warming your thoughts as you sink deeper into calm. The dollar's rise as global money is a story of trust's triumph, a quiet victory of human faith over distance and difference. Reflect on how we, too, are part of this story, connected to others through the choices we make, the promises we keep. Wealth is not in the paper we hold, but in the hands we touch, the lives we uplift, the trust we nurture like a fragile flame in the night. The dollar, now a familiar face in markets worldwide, carries this legacy, its origins fading, yet its purpose enduring, like a river that flows on, even as its source is forgotten. As you breathe slowly, feel the rhythm of this chapter align with your heartbeat, each pulse a reminder of the world's quiet interconnectedness. The port, the marketplace, the sailor's musings, they fade softly now, leaving only the soothing hum of the night. The dollar's journey continues, a silent partner in countless lives, its value a reflection of our shared belief in tomorrow. Human connection, the heart of this tale, beats gently in every exchange, every moment of faith shared between souls, no matter how far apart. Trust, that delicate thread, binds us still, a calm assurance that carries us forward, just as it carried the dollar across the world. As this chapter draws to a close, let its serenity envelop you fully, like the cool night air settling over a sleeping town. Picture the harbor once more, now quiet save for the gentle lapping of waves and the faint creak of ships at rest. The dollar rests somewhere in that world, perhaps in a merchant's till, perhaps in a traveler's satchel. Its rise as global money, a quiet testament to trust's enduring power. Wealth, in this gentle unfolding, is the faith we place in one another, the calm assurance that life's currents will carry us where we need to go. The stars above watch over you, their light soft and eternal, inviting you to release your thoughts, to let them drift like clouds across a moonlit sky. Breathe deeply now, dear listener, letting the calm of this chapter settle over you like a warm blanket. The night is deep, the world still, and you are held in its gentle embrace, where stories of trust and connection whisper softly, guiding you closer to peaceful slumber. As the dollar's tail fades into the background, it leaves behind a sense of serenity, a reminder that value lies in the bonds we share, the promises we keep. Rest now, cradled in the quiet wisdom of this moment, and let the gentle rhythm of the night lull you into dreams, where the world's embrace is as soft and enduring as the stars above. Sleep beckons, gentle and inviting, and you are ready to answer its call, drifting into a restful, tranquil slumber. Chapter 11. Value Beyond Paper. Reflection on value, trust, and meaning as the night cradles you in its gentle embrace. Dear listener, the world outside your window falls into a profound hush, where the stars above glimmer like quiet promises scattered across a velvet sky. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of dew-kissed grass and the soft whisper of leaves resting in the moonlight. In this serene moment, we pause to reflect, to let our thoughts drift like clouds over a tranquil lake, turning inward to explore the essence of value, not in the paper that passes through hands, but in the intangible threads of trust and meaning that weave our lives together. The first dollar, now a distant memory, invites us to look beyond its form, to see the quiet beauty of human connection that gives it life, guiding us toward a deeper understanding as we sink into the calm of this bedtime tale. Imagine a quiet village at twilight, where the last rays of sunlight paint the rooftops in hues of amber and rose, and the air hums with the gentle rhythm of life settling into rest. A woman sits by her hearth, the soft crackle of the fire blending with the distant hoot of an owl, her hands cradling a worn dollar bill, its edges softened by countless exchanges. She gazes at it, not with greed, but with quiet wonder, pondering what makes this fragile slip of paper so powerful. It is not the ink or the cotton fibers, she muses, but the trust it represents, the silent agreement between strangers that this paper holds worth. Sensory whispers fill the scene. The faint warmth of the bill against her fingertips, the subtle scent of wood smoke curling through the room, the gentle creak of her chair as she leans back in thought. These details anchor us in the moment, inviting us to reflect on value's true source, far beyond the tangible. Time, that patient storyteller, teaches us that wealth is not in the accumulation of things, but in the connections we nurture, the faith we place in one another. The dollar, born in a flicker of candlelight, was never just paper. It was a vessel for trust, a quiet promise that binds us across distances and differences. As you listen, let your breath slow, aligning with the rhythm of this reflection, each exhale carrying away the weight of the day, leaving only calm in its wake. Picture the woman by the fire, her thoughts drifting to the hands that held this dollar before her. A farmer trading for seeds, a merchant offering cloth, a child saving for a dream. Each exchange was a moment of connection, a thread in the tapestry of human life, woven with care and patience under the vast, unchanging sky. Consider, dear listener, the nature of trust itself, how it flows like a river, unseen yet powerful, nourishing the roots of our shared existence. The dollar's journey from a single press to the hands of millions is a testament to this trust, a reminder that value lies not in what we hold, but in what we believe together. Wealth, in its truest form, is the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a kind word, the quiet strength of knowing someone, somewhere, honors their word to you. The woman by the hearth smiles softly, her fingers tracing the bill's faded symbols. An eagle, a shield, a promise etched in ink. These are not mere designs, but echoes of human hope, of agreements made in market squares and quiet rooms, each one a step in the dance of connection that sustains us. As the firelight flickers, casting gentle shadows that sway like leaves in a breeze, let your mind wander to a marketplace at dawn, where the dollar changes hands once more. The air is filled with sensory delights, the soft rustle of paper as it is passed to a vendor, the faint aroma of fresh bread wafting from a nearby stall, the murmur of voices blending into a soothing hum. The vendor, a man with kind eyes, accepts the bill with a nod, offering a basket of apples in return, their skins gleaming like rubies in the morning light. This exchange, simple yet profound, is a reflection of meaning beyond paper, a moment where trust transforms a transaction into a bond, where value is measured not in currency, but in the quiet understanding shared between two souls. Time weaves its lessons slowly, dear listener, showing us that true wealth lies in the intangible, in the moments we share and the trust we extend. The dollar, now a global symbol, carries this truth in its folds, a reminder that its power comes not from its form, but from the faith we invest in it. As you sink deeper into the calm of this chapter, imagine a quiet meadow under a starlit sky where the grass sways gently in the breeze, and the dollar rests in a traveler's satchel, its journey a mirror of our own. We, too, move through life, gathering stories, building connections, trusting that our paths will intersect with others in ways that enrich us. Wealth is not in the coins we count, but in the lives we touch, the promises we keep, the dreams we share under the same eternal stars. Let this reflection settle over you like a soft blanket, warming your thoughts as you drift closer to sleep. Picture the village once more, now cloaked in the deep blue of night, its houses glowing faintly with lamplight, each one a haven of rest and reflection. The woman by the hearth tucks the dollar away, her heart light with the knowledge that its value lies not in what it buys, but in what it represents, a chain of trust linking her to countless others past and present. Sensory whispers linger, the soft pop of embers in the fire, the faint rustle of her shawl as she settles back, the distant song of crickets weaving a lullaby through the night. These are the sounds of meaning unfolding, of a world where value is found in the quiet moments of connection that define us. As you breathe slowly, Feel the rhythm of this chapter align with your heartbeat, each pulse a reminder of the bonds that hold us together. The dollar story, though rooted in paper, is a tale of trust's triumph, a gentle reminder that what we value most is often invisible, felt rather than seen. Reflect on your own life, dear listener, on the connections that give it meaning, the smile of a loved one, the kindness of a stranger, the quiet faith that tomorrow will bring new opportunities to trust and be trusted. Wealth is in these moments, in the gentle give and take that shapes our days, in the understanding that we are all part of a larger story, woven together by threads of faith and care. The night deepens now, its stillness wrapping you in a cocoon of peace, where thoughts of value and trust dissolve into a soothing calm. Imagine a river flowing gently under the stars, its surface reflecting the light of 1,000 constellations, each one a story of connection, a promise kept across time. The dollar, a small part of this vast narrative, carries the weight of human hope, its value rooted in the trust we share. As you listen, let your mind drift, carried by the river's current, toward a place of rest where worries fade and only serenity remains. The village, the marketplace, the woman by the hearth, they fade softly now, leaving only the quiet hum of the night, a lullaby for your soul. As this chapter draws to a close, let its wisdom envelop you fully, like the cool night air settling over a sleeping world. Picture the meadow once more, its grasses whispering softly in the breeze, the stars above watching with their ancient, patient light. The dollar's tale, a story of trust and meaning, reminds us that value lies not in what we hold, but in what we share, in the connections that bind us across time and distance. Wealth is the trust we place in one another, the calm assurance that life's currents will carry us forward together. Human connection, the heart of this reflection, beats gently in every moment of faith, every quiet exchange that shapes our world. Breathe deeply now, dear listener, letting the calm of this chapter settle over you like a warm, soft blanket. The night is deep, the world still, and you are held in its gentle embrace, where stories of trust and meaning whisper softly, guiding you closer to peaceful slumber. As the dollar's tale fades into the background, it leaves behind a sense of serenity, a reminder that value is found in the bonds we nurture, the promises we keep. Rest now, cradled in the quiet wisdom of this moment, and let the gentle rhythm of the night lull you into dreams, where trust and connection weave their own tranquil tales. Sleep beckons, soft and inviting, and you are ready to answer its call, drifting into a restful, tranquil slumber. Chapter 12. Closing reflection ending softly, inviting the listener to sleep as the night reaches its deepest, most tender embrace. Dear listener, the world outside your window falls into a profound and gentle hush, where the stars above shimmer like soft whispers of light scattered across a vast velvet sky. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, soothing scent of dew-kissed grass, mingling with the earthy murmur of leaves resting in the moonlight's delicate glow. In this serene moment, we come to the close of our journey, a tranquil tale woven from the quiet threads of time, trust, and human connection, centered on the forgotten story of the first dollar. Now, as the world breathes in perfect calm, we pause to reflect one final time, letting our thoughts drift like petals on a still pond, inviting you to release the day and sink gently into the arms of sleep. Imagine a quiet meadow under a starlit sky, where the grass sways softly in a breeze so gentle it feels like a whisper against your skin. The night is deep, its silence broken only by the faint song of crickets, their voices weaving a lullaby that blends with the distant rustle of leaves and the soft ripple of a nearby stream. In this peaceful haven, the dollar story rests, its journey from a flicker of imagination to a global symbol now complete, yet lingering like a dream half remembered. The paper itself, with its faded ink and worn edges, is but a vessel, a quiet reminder of the trust that dateth life, the connections that carried it through countless hands, and the meaning we find in the shared promises of humanity. Sensory whispers fill this moment. The cool touch of grass beneath your imagined feet, the faint scent of wildflowers carried on the breeze, the gentle rhythm of the stream flowing ever onward, like time itself. As you lie there, cradled in the night's embrace, let your breath slow, each inhale drawing in the calm of this meadow, each exhale releasing the last traces of the day's weight. Reflect, dear listener, on the lessons woven through our tale how time, that patient weaver, teaches us that true wealth lies not in what we hold, but in what we share. The dollar, born in a quiet room filled with the scent of ink and candle wax, was never just paper. It was a promise, a bridge between souls, a testament to the trust that binds us across generations. Wealth, in its truest form, is found in the gentle moments of connection, the smile of a friend, the kindness of a stranger, the quiet faith that tomorrow will bring new opportunities to give and receive. These are the treasures that endure, far beyond the reach of time's gentle forgetting. Picture now a village at rest, its houses glowing faintly with the warm light of lanterns, their soft beams spilling onto cobblestone paths like pools of liquid gold. In one such home, a child sleeps, a single dollar tucked beneath their pillow, a token of dreams yet to unfold. The air is filled with sensory whispers, the soft crackle of a dying fire in the hearth, the faint creak of wooden floors settling for the night, the distant hoot of an owl calling through the stillness. This scene, so simple yet profound, reflects the heart of our story, that value lies not in the paper itself, but in the hope it carries, the trust it fosters, the connections it weaves. The dollar's journey, from its first printing to its embrace by the world, is a mirror of our own lives, moving through moments of giving and taking, each one a thread in the tapestry of human existence. Let your thoughts drift now, dear listener, to the nature of trust, how it flows like the stream in our meadow, unseen yet powerful, nourishing the roots of our shared world. The dollar story, though now fading into the soft haze of memory, reminds us that meaning is found in the intangible, in the quiet agreements we make, the bonds we nurture under the vast, unchanging sky. Time, in its gentle wisdom, shows us that wealth is not in accumulation, but in participation, in the serene dance of human connection that carries us forward. As you breathe slowly, feel this truth settle over you like a warm blanket, softening the edges of your mind, easing you toward rest. Imagine the meadow once more, its grasses glowing faintly under the starlight, each blade a testament to life's quiet resilience. The dollar rests somewhere in this world, perhaps in a merchant's till, perhaps in a traveler's satchel, its journey a silent partner in countless lives. Its value, though, lies not in its form, but in the trust it represents, the faith that binds us to one another. Reflect on your own connections, dear listener, the hands you've held, the promises you've kept, the moments of kindness that have warmed your heart. These are the true riches, the gentle threads that weave your story into the larger narrative of humanity, a story that continues even as you drift toward sleep. As the night deepens, let the sensory details of this moment envelop you. The soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the faint shimmer of starlight on the stream, the cool, calming touch of the meadow's air against your imagined skin. These are the whispers of peace, inviting you to let go, to release the thoughts that linger like shadows at the edge of your mind. The dollar's tale, a story of trust and meaning, fades softly now, leaving only a sense of serenity in its wake. Wealth is in this moment, in the quiet breath you take, in the calm assurance that you are part of a world woven together by faith and care. Human connection, the heart of our journey, beats gently in every shared moment, every promise kept, every trust extended under the stars. As you sink deeper into the calm of this chapter, picture the village once more, now cloaked in the deep blue of night, its lanterns dimming as the world settles into slumber. The child with the dollar under their pillow dreams of tomorrow, their breath slow and even, a mirror of your own. The air is filled with the soft hum of life at rest, the faint pop of embers in a distant hearth, the gentle sigh of the wind through open windows, the quiet rhythm of the earth turning toward dawn. These sounds cradle you, dear listener, wrapping you in a cocoon of peace where worries dissolve and only calm remains. The dollar's story, a lullaby of trust and connection, has brought us here, to this gentle moment where sleep beckons like an old friend. Let this final reflection settle over you like a soft veil, warming your thoughts as you drift closer to dreams. The meadow, the village, the starlit sky, they fade softly now, leaving only the soothing rhythm of your breath, the gentle pulse of the night. Reflect one last time on the lessons of our tale, that time teaches us to trust, that wealth is in connection, that meaning is found in the quiet moments we share. The dollar, a humble piece of paper, carried this truth across centuries, its journey a reminder that we, too, are part of something larger, something enduring, something beautiful. As you breathe deeply, let these thoughts dissolve, carried away like mist on a morning breeze, leaving only peace in their wake. The night is yours now, dear listener, a tranquil haven where the world's worries cannot reach. Feel the stars watching over you, their light soft and eternal, guiding you toward rest. The dollar's tale, a story of trust and human connection, has woven its way through our journey, leaving behind a legacy of calm, a gentle invitation to let go. Wealth is in this moment, in the quiet breath before sleep, in the serene assurance that you are held, cherished, connected. As the meadow fades, as the village sleeps, Let your thoughts drift, carried by the night's gentle current toward a place of restful slumber. Breathe deeply now, dear listener, letting the calm of this chapter envelop you fully, like the cool night air settling over a sleeping world. The stars above whisper their final good night, their light a soft promise of dreams to come. The dollar story, now complete, leaves you with a sense of serenity, a reminder that trust and connection are the true treasures of life. Rest now, cradled in the gentle embrace of the night, where stories of meaning and hope weave their own tranquil lullabies. Sleep beckons, soft and inviting, and you are ready to answer its call, drifting into a peaceful, restful slumber where gentle wonders await. Good night, dear listener, and may your dreams be as soft and soothing as the night itself.